everybody, welcome to the Dad Challenge Podcast. My name's Josh. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you had an amazing weekend. I had some fun too, but I got my son's cold. What is this, like the third one in 3 weeks? Damn! This is one of those ones where the snot just like pours out of your entire face. That's this one. So, thanks, Weston. Love you. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about a video that I've been wanting to do for quite some time. Someone had reminded me in my comments, hey, you should probably do this. It's two topics. We're going to talk about TikTok and what they're doing with your information. It's a big story. I don't want to let it go because it kind of segues nicely into what we're going to talk about when it comes to child actors versus kidfluencers on the internet. What's the difference? How does it work? How are they being exploited? And are child actors just as bad? You know, are the parents exploiting them just as bad as internet? We're going to look at the difference. This is probably a video you can show your kids. I'm not going to swear in here. This is going to be directed more towards, this is for everyone, but this is a good video to show your kids about the dangers of being online. A lot of people have been asking me to do that too. And so this video is going to be important. So bring them in. Let's educate them. Let's educate you. Let's educate myself. Let's learn a little something, something. You're some kind of something too. So let's go. So if you're new to this channel or your parents are making you watch this because you need to be educated on what it's like to be online, the dangers of being online, all that stuff, welcome to the Dad Challenge Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. If your parents are making you watch this, good. You need to see this, okay? It's a very, very important video. If you're new, make sure you hit the subscribe and the like button, or don't. I don't really care. But I'm glad you're here to listen to this because this is very, very important and something a lot of people aren't really talking about and I want to talk to you about. Your parents need to see this too, so if they're not watching it, make sure they watch this video, okay? We're going to kick this whole topic off with a story that has not been covered just because of what's been going on in the US with massive SCOTUS decisions coming down and dominating obviously every airwave and every Twitter feed and everything else. I get that. But that's why a story like this gets buried. And it's really weird because this is a really, 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 really important story. Specifically, if you yourself are on TikTok, your mom or dad's on TikTok, or anybody you know is on TikTok. TikTok is a dangerous platform. We're going to get to why afterwards when we talk about the exploitation of children versus, actors. So we will get to the why in a second. But TikTok, just know, it is not, everybody thinks TikTok's this free platform and all this is free, but they harvest your data. And who harvests your data? It's China. It's a brand called ByteDance who actually owns TikTok who harvests your data. Now, back in 2021, they assured the US that they were not harvesting your data, but that has been proven false by this article by BuzzFeed. We got to get through this. This is an incredible story. Be scared. Leaked audio from 80 internal TikTok meetings show that US user data has been repeatedly accessed from China. Remember, now I know you guys hate Trump. Everybody hates Trump. I get that. But Trump was the only person who wanted to remove TikTok from the US. Now, it wouldn't have affected me in Canada, but it definitely would have affected the US and it would have been a good thing. To remove kids' ability to be on social media, and I know this video is more aimed towards teenagers and stuff like that, is a good thing. And I know you're going to roll your eyes, it's stupid, but I promise you in the future, you're going to see the damage that these platforms do. They literally harvest everything, and everything you put online is there forever. Okay, so I need you to know that. I'm going to do the high-level overview of the article because it's so in-depth, but go to BuzzFeed and read the article. It's really well done. The recordings, which were reviewed by BuzzFeed News, contain 14 statements from 9 different TikTok employees indicating that engineers in China had access to US data between September 2021 and January 2022, at the very least. Despite a TikTok executive's sworn testimony in an October 2021 Senate hearing that a world-renowned US-based security team decided who gets access to this data. 9 statements by 8 different employees describe situations where US employees had to turn to their colleagues in China to determine how US user data was flowing. US staff did not have permission or knowledge of how to access the data on their own, according to the tapes. What this means is that yes, the data is collected in the US, but it's funneled to China. And China's in Beijing at ByteDance, they're asking them what we need to do with this, so it means that they have their eyes on it. Why is that important? Because when they have access to things like your DMs, every video you've ever done, every comment you've ever made, your location, every ad that you've looked at, everything that you're surfing for, everything that you've said. Not only that, but they collect your biometric data, right? And a lot of people are like, well, I don't really care. Some people don't care that a big entity owns every bit of information about you. But some people like myself do care. And again, we're going to talk about that a little bit today, but the exploitation of children, privacy is a big thing about that, right? A lot of people are like, well, I haven't broken a law, I haven't done anything wrong. Why would I care? Because you want to keep your privacy. Because if this stuff gets out ever in the future that you've DM'd somebody something you didn't want to the public, they have that. It is owned by China. You guys have to understand, China is not an ally of the US. Make sure you put that in your brain. China is not an ally of the US. They are at, not war, but they are at odds in every way, considering China wants to be the next major superpower in every single way. So that's why it matters. It's different if your US government has it, although I would say even Canadian government, I don't want them having it either, and you shouldn't either. But that's a big deal. Biometric data is a huge, huge, huge thing right now. Not only that, imagine every DM you've ever sent somebody on TikTok. They own it. That's big. They lied. In February 2021, they paid $92 million to settle an allegation about them harvesting data. To settle, everybody. In January 2022, it says in the article that a data scientist had to go to Beijing to ask what to do with the data. That's big. That's a big deal, everybody. Don't forget also that TikTok had the most visitors in 2021, even more than that of Google. That is a big deal. You think YouTube's a big platform. TikTok is one of the biggest emerging platforms on earth. And it is a big deal because the amount of data they can harvest, if they're more visitors than Google, guys, I don't think anybody realizes the ramifications of China having this kind of information on another country's citizens. And it doesn't seem like anybody cares, including your White House. Okay? Now, I get it that Trump was one of the most hated politicians in all of the land. One of the most hated, if not the most hated president of all time. But you got to give him this. He saw the dangers of TikTok and wanted it removed. What did Biden's White House do? They did cool things like this.
Hi, my name is Cooper, and this is a day in my life as a White House intern.
We did it, Joe. Hey, Jenny. I booked you a nail appointment, love.
Yeah, I didn't tell you to do that.
It's called Initiative. Is Olivia Rodrigo still here?
No. We've come a long way in our fight against this virus. We've vaccinated 160 million Americans. Are you getting this all down?
Don't worry, Queen. It's all right here.
Right? They brought in TikTokers and used the TikTok influencers to spread a message. Now look, I get that. They want to reach the youngins with the message, and that's how they got to go to where the youngins are. But at the same time, the White House knows that China's doing this, is basically an enemy of the US, but is using the platform while DMing, while doing all those same kind of things. The White House is doing this. So Trump sees something, doesn't want it going on, gets bashed for it because it was Trump. Now, I get that. Trump's one of the most hated people, but if it was someone else who said, let's ban TikTok, maybe it would have gotten done. So Trump's his own worst enemy. Because he'll say something smart like this, but get hated on because it's Trump. You know, the messenger matters. I say that a lot. That's what your White House is doing. So it doesn't seem like anybody's taking this very seriously, which you should be paying attention. Young people who are watching this video, you're going to be voting very soon, okay? In the future, it's going to be, you vote how you need to. It's going to be less about social issues, less about like taxation and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be more about privacy in the coming 10 or 15 years. It's going to be mind-blowing what you're going to find out about yourself that was on the internet that your parents put out there, okay? Especially these influencers, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Here's one of the other most dangerous things about TikTok, is that TikTok is the wild, wild west when it comes to the exploitation of children online, which is what I talk about. And the majority of my platform is about the exploitation of children online. So if you go over there and you find big channels like Ren and Jacqueline, Bebe and Bebop or Bebop and Bebe, whatever the case may be, there's a whole bunch of them, okay? Everybody's over there exploiting their kids online. Big time. Maya Knight, huge. These people have millions of subscribers, they make millions of dollars, and TikTok just allows it. Whereas YouTube, where I kind of obviously am, YouTube protects its creators like me. I can call out these people as long as I'm within my fair use policies, I'm good to go, right? And YouTube will protect me generally for calling them out. Whereas TikTok, I've had 4 accounts with over 5,000 subscribers ban me every time because, and it's not because I'm breaking into the terms of service, because I'm not. I'm just calling out these people and then they mass report and TikTok gets rid of it because TikTok doesn't want waves of problems. They just want everybody to be on there. And so they will remove people that call their shitty, toxic terms of service out, right? Which is allowing kids to be exploited on their platform. Okay? So that's another reason they're super dangerous, because they will allow predatory behavior exploiters to be on there kind of willy-nilly, doesn't matter. And it's really, really, really dangerous. Okay, TikTok is not going to last. Eventually, they're going to do something with that information, and it's not going to be good. What do you think China's intentions are with that type of information, everybody? Is it going to be a good thing? China's a communist country. What do you think they want with the petabytes of data that they have? What do you think they're going to do with it? Imagine everything that you put on TikTok right now, parents and teens. Now imagine who has that information, right? Think about that for a second. Why do they need it? It's incredibly dangerous, and you need to be paying attention and wake up. Okay, so I wanted to expose that story just because it's a really, really big deal. But it kind of nicely segues again into what's going on with the exploitation of children, teenagers, and everything else online, and what it means to be this big difference. I get this question a lot, and people think it's kind of like I gotcha. I remember when Cola Brandt's mom, Sherry Brandt, reached out to me, and she asked me. She wanted to have a conversation. I was willing to have a conversation like I am with anybody. Okay? She said, well, what's the big difference between child actors and children on the internet? What's the big difference? Right? And they think this is some big aha gotcha thing. Well, I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about the big damn difference, because there is a big damn difference. Although I will say this, I also think that parents who put their kids into acting without their consent is still against their consent. They cannot give full informed consent to being in an industry that puts them in the public eye. So I'm not saying it's good, but it is very different than the internet. Basically, low level, okay? Child actors have something what's called the Coogan Law, which we'll dig into in a second. Whereas kids on the internet who are in these family vlogs, basically for all intents and purposes, they are actors as well, they don't. And that's the big, giant difference. According to Parentology, do child social media stars have legal protection? Social media is making millionaire celebrities out of everyday kids. But what kind of types of legal protection do these children have, since the day on the set happens right in their living room? The gray area has many people shining a spotlight on the lack of protection for the growing number of child social media stars cashing in on platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, while both platforms prohibit kids under the age of 13 from having their own accounts. That's important. These lucrative kid influencers accounts are being run by their parents. This is the thing that makes me so angry, especially on Instagram. Instagram has these rules, and they're like, yeah, we take the protection of kids seriously. Do you? Because this one loophole, we just have to type this phrase, account ran by parents. No problem then. Doesn't matter that many men are commenting on young ladies' profiles. Doesn't matter, right? I did an expose on Everly LeBrant, had 7 million Instagram followers. Followed over, and this was a year ago, followed by 70, not followed, engaged by, because this is different than people who follow her. Her engagement analytics showed that men over the age of 24, 70% of men over the age of 24 were following a 7-year-old girl who would dance in leotards. And TikTok doesn't care. And the proof is in the pudding. Go to Ren and Jacqueline's Instagram. Go to the Stauffer Girls little Instagram. Follow any major Kidfluencer on Instagram. Go look at their comments. Count how many adult men are commenting on their profiles. Okay, that's all you need to see. But just writing the phrase, account ran by mom, account ran by parents, gets around this crazy protection law. It's insanity. Okay. Unlike Hollywood stars who get protection under the Coogan Law, there's no law pertaining to children who earn money on social media. The Coogan Law requires a 15% of child's earnings to go into a blocked trust account, which I think is really low. It should be at minimum 90% of their earnings. If their parents want to take 10% for doing what they need to do, drive them around, be their agent, whatever the case may be, or whatever the market rate is for that type of representation, fine. Let's say 20%, okay? That means that 80% of the child's money should go into a protected account. 15% is bonkers, considering some of these kids make millions and millions of dollars. Okay, so the parents legally can take 85% of their kids' earnings and put it in their own pocket. So that's a bad thing with the Coogan Law, by the way. It's good that the Coogan Law protects, but I wanted to look up what the Coogan Law was. And according to Wikipedia, the California Child Actors Bill, also known as the Coogan Act or Coogan Bill, is a law applicable to child performers, designed to safeguard a portion of their earnings for when they reach age of majority and protect them from exploitation and abuse. The original bill was passed in 1939 by the state of California in response to the plight of Jackie Coogan, who earned millions of dollars as a child star, only to discover upon reaching adulthood that his mother and stepfather had spent almost all of his money. Since then, it has been revised a few times, most recently on December 7th, 2019. As it stands, money earned and accumulated under the contract under code remains the sole legal property of the minor child. Now, I'm hoping that means all money. So basically, Coogan Law protects their money. But it also, as far as I'm concerned, it also, I had a guy named Robbie Starbuck who's in the industry. Also, kids are protected on sets. Like, you're not allowed to work a certain amount of time over you're not allowed to work over a certain amount of hours. Can't like work overtime or anything like that. And it's way less. You have to be educated. And if you have to prove that your kids are being educated by having, tutors and stuff on set, kids are, watched by guardians and everything else at all times. There's so many rules put in place for kids who are actors that it's hard to exploit them more than it is where they are on the internet, right? They still get exploited, for sure. Hollywood is a cesspool of disgusting adults who exploit children. Even the Coogan Law exists for them, whatever, but outside of the Coogan Law, they're not protected from the parties, the drugs, the alcohol they're all exposed to. Child actors generally turn out to be, it's very rare you're going to find a kid who turns out normal. Now, there are exceptions, but the rule is most Hollywood kids, specifically from Disney, Nickelodeon, all these kids turn out to be drug addicts, alcoholics, and they live terrible, terrible lives. Because being exposed to that type of world is dangerous. There are a few who have survived, don't get me wrong. And the few who have survived often speak out against the damaging effects of being a child star in Hollywood. This one goes on to say, the article in Parentology goes on to say, just how much money are child social media stars making? Consider 7-year-old Ryan Kadji, who made $22 million in 2018 alone, simply unboxing toys on YouTube. That's Ryan's toy review. The New York Times recently reported brands may pay upwards of $15,000 for one Instagram post. Right? That's insane. While a single sponsored YouTube video could bring them in $45,000. So if Ryan's toy review is reviewing, let's say, Transformers, whoever makes Transformers is paying Ryan's mom $45,000 for a 10-minute video. It's insanity. Kids are paying close attention to Kadji and other social media stars, as a recent Drawing the Future survey found, becoming a social media star topping most of the children's list careers and aspirations. Now, I just went on a field trip with my daughter's class. I volunteered as a parent. Well, sorry, my wife volunteered me as a parent, and I went out. And, you get to know the kids. You're just hanging out with them at the park, and you hear them talking. You ask them questions. They know that I'm a YouTuber, and most of them want to do that. And I'm like there. I'm not going to tell a kid what to do, but I'm also going to be like, hey guys, there's way cooler things you can do, way better things you can do. I know a lot of parents who are considering putting their kid on YouTube to make money, but hopefully that is changing, because that is not a life. It's not worth it. I promise you. Ryan's toy review, Ryan Kadji, whatever his name is, that kid is not going to grow up normal. He's not going to have a normal childhood. He won't have normal friends. He is in an industry where he cannot be exposed to normal things a child can be exposed to. And that is detrimental to a child's development. So is anybody looking out for child social media stars? SAG After is a well-known organization that protects both child and adult talent and advocates on behalf of the most vulnerable groups, especially child performers. The SAG After spokesperson tells Parentology, while there are certain distinctions between traditional entertainment and influencer content, these two worlds are increasingly cross-pollinating, and the gap is lessening as the digital industry matures. Now, we will talk after this about the difference between what a child actor does and what a child influencer does. Major differences. This is why some California lawmakers tried to update the bill in 2018 to include social media advertising. The Kidfluencer bill called for kids working in social media to get to work permit and follow measures similar to those in the Coogan Law. A version of the bill was passed and went to effect January 2019, but exempts kids from needing work permits if their performance is unpaid and shorter than 1 hour. If work permits are mandated, then parents have no legal obligation to open Coogan accounts. So they just made it really, if you work less than an hour, it's not work. It says if the performance is less than an hour. And there's not a lot of family vlogs out there that are more than 20 minutes, 15 minutes. So they skirt these rules. But the kid might be working 5 to 6 hours to get that 15 minutes. Right? And you don't have to pay them because the performance is unpaid, right? They don't have to pay the kids. They just made it, this law just made it so that they don't have to pay the kids. If you consider it an unpaid thing, then don't worry about the Coogan Law. But these kids should be paid. But the parents get around it by saying, oh, they're not paid, they're my kid. Now, people like Piper Raquel, Liliana Ketchman, those people are. They bring in other actors. They do it legally. And I'm pretty sure Tiffany Raquel Smith, or whatever her name is, recently just had to get all those things. I know that the royalty family, when it comes to Farhan, they're trying to get the permits for him to become that because he works for them. We're going to do a video on Farhan as well soon. If you don't know anything with the royalty family, go watch those videos. I've had someone go through every single one of their videos, give me the time and count of those videos at the time, and I'm going to put together a rough estimate of what Farhan is owed. Okay, and it's going to blow your mind. So that's basically what they're going to do. They're not going to do anything. SAG After is not interested in helping children. So going over all those articles, it made me realize I need to put together a video like this, which will help you with a representation, with a visual representation. Hopefully I'll put some words up here, words here and here and here, about what the difference is between the two genres, right? How the Venn diagrams do cross, and also what the difference is, and how people are getting away with this. The Wild West of child exploitation is on the rise. Because some family vlogger channels like Ace Family, LeBrant's, some of the bigger ones, make upwards of 8 figures a year. We're talking millions upon millions of dollars. Smaller channels like Jess Fam, Fizz Family, and all those ones who have like a million a little bit less, they're still making probably close to 8 figures, but in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, okay? People like Jess Fam that will say, well, I'll give my kids money, and maybe she does. But she doesn't have to. And if anything ever does happen, she has no reason to give it to them. She could just spend it. So here's the major differences between child actors and kidfluencers. Words there? Okay, good. When it comes to child actors, okay? Child actors are paid to act. And that's a big, important distinction, okay? Why is that different? Because kidfluencers might be or might not be paid to live their real lives on camera. The difference is a child actor is acting like somebody else. You may not know anything about their private life. Hopefully you don't. Okay? They live their private life outside of the camera generally. You don't know what goes on in their house. You don't know, if they've gone through puberty, all the crazy things that you see kidfluencers who are a part of. Where kidfluencers, you see their day-to-day life, where they sleep, their medical conditions, anything they've been hurt with. Okay? If they had a meltdown, their periods, puberty, first dates, first kisses, right? You see every aspect of their normal life. And that's crazy because kid actors are acting like someone else, then get to go home and be away from all that. That's one of the major distinctions between the two. So kidfluencers, on this hand, they don't get the right to privacy. And that's why I really, really, really want to stress that in my videos. These kids cannot give informed consent to the content that is being put online about them. A child actor can also not give informed consent to being a part of an industry that is likely going to send them down really, really wrong paths. Okay, so both are bad. But at least on this side, the kid actor gets protections and gets education, and it's regulated. Where on this side, you see a ton of family vloggers take their kids out of school and say they're homeschooling them or unschooling them, and they're not getting an education. The parents just need them to be home so they can be part of the videos. And if they get hurt, that's used for content. Jess Fam is a good example of this. Kid almost died smashing his head off a pool. Okay Baby hit his kid in the face with a drone, and his kid smashed his face off the ground, was bleeding everywhere. Go through any family vlogger that you like and look, just type in hospital or injured or sick and see how much you see. The fact is that on this side, kidfluencers have every bit of their private data and everything, especially when it comes to their medical histories, put online for everybody to ingest. Where kid actors, you know nothing about their private life, basically. And it could be bad, could be good, but you know nothing about it, okay? Sorry, I know that's a big, I wanted to really make sure we have that distinction. Another distinction is money, okay? When it comes to, is it child actors over here? I don't know where we are. But child actors get paid, and they have contracts, and the studio pays maybe their parents or their manager or whatever the case may be. It's a lot easier to track down parents who are taking advantage of their kids because Coogan Law allows for them to be tracked, right? Kids get their money when they turn 18, do whatever they want with it, all good, right? The money part is great for kids who are acting. Whereas kidfluencers, okay, they might not have anything. And we know many influencers like Love Meg, and I'm not sure who else. A lot of them don't talk about it, but some have talked about it. Love Meg has said, I'm not going to give my kid a penny. They don't deserve any of this. They can make their own way. There are so many influencers who have spent everything. Their kids will have nothing, even though their kids were the main source, the main draw to their channel. Ruby from 8 Passengers is another good example of this. They live in her world. Do you think that she gives her kids money? No. They spend every penny on, and I'm not saying the kids don't benefit, because the kids do benefit from living in that world. They go to Disney, they go on trips, they get like cool stuff, they get stuff sent to them. They live in the lap of luxury with their parents, but there is no guarantee of income for the work that they have done on the channel, right? And a lot of them leave and they're disenfranchised. A lot of them you're going to start seeing suing their parents for the money that they're owed. Ferran, again, is one of those kids on the royalty family who is likely owed, I'll wait till I do the video, but I'm telling you, this kid, for the amount of views that he is in, is owed 8 figures or more. And if there's no account put aside for him, like there probably isn't going to be, it's going to be bad news because he will sue his parents and should. Okay? So Kidfluencers, no protections for their money. You don't have to give them anything and there's no law for it against it. Coogan, guaranteed money. Cool? Got that? So 2 major differences. Okay? Let's do one where they're kind of similar. Now, it's the consent thing. Both cannot give informed consent, I did say this before, to being on camera, their worlds out there, right? Parents will often, child actor parents will groom their kids to be a part of the industry. In Kidfluencers, they're also groomed to be Kidfluencers. They are both groomed to be in this world. Both are also subject to being pursued by predators. Okay, child actors have a little bit more protections because you don't know about them in their personal lives. Okay, but they still have a ton of fans and a ton of predators watching them. The main difference between those two is that child actors aren't often displayed on camera like Kidfluencers are. And Kidfluencers are displayed in often nude, especially as babies, on the internet. Or shirtless, topless. Some girls, especially Jess Fam's kids, have showed their underwear, maybe by accident, but they kept it in the video. There's so much more you can see of a child influencer that these predators will download, save, share under predator playlists and everything else. There's just so much more exposure to these kids. Look at any family vlogger, type in the word dentist or teeth. Look how many views they have because predators are watching them for the mouth, right? If they're shaving their legs, tons more views. Anything about their feet, tons of views. Bra shopping. Wife's Life took her daughter bra shopping. All of her daughters have gone bra shopping. Measures their chest online, takes them to Target for some bras. Huge amount of views. Periods. Massive amounts of views. Predators are looking for this stuff. You know nothing about that about child actors, but all that stuff is exposed with kids who are with kids who are influencers. All that is exposed, and it's so scary. So on this one hand, you got predators who might have a parasocial relationship with an actor, but that actor has a lot of protections between who they really are and the predator. Whereas the predator and the kidfluencer, there's no distinction. They know everything about the kid, where they go to school, their medical history, their first and last name, where they sleep inside of a home. Okay, they know everything about them because the parents serve it up on a silver platter. So predators are attached to this type of content because they get it for free and it's abundant. That's the major difference. But they are still both subject to being pursued by predators. Child actors do get hunted down and attacked, whereas influencer kids do as well. Ava Madjuri is a perfect example. 15-year-old TikToker. Guy came to their house, blew the door off with a shotgun. Dad killed that kid. Long story, insanity. Parasocial relationships exist and they're real. But it's a stronger parasocial relationship when it comes to kidfluencers because there's no filter between who they really are. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And that's really effing scary. Okay? Parents know it too. And it's becoming way more evident now, more than ever before, that they know that there are predators watching. Considering the comments where their kids' pictures end up on different websites, it is insanity. And we shouldn't be allowing it, neither should the platforms. Another major difference is when kid actors are kind of done, they can phase out, they can fade into obscurity. Okay, and that's the same with kidfluencers. And that's kind of a positive thing. If a family vlogger decides they no longer want to be part of that, it's easier for a kidfluencer to fade into obscurity than a major child actor. Okay? But the child actor, it's because they had that semblance of privacy in their private life, it's easier for them to escape the thing. But if there's a massive, major, famous kidfluencer, John and Kate plus 8, 19 kids and pounding, get Netflix. You know what I'm saying? There's too many. Those kids don't have the semblance, because if you were to talk to those kids in real life after the whole thing is done, 10 years down the road, all you have to do is look up who they were when they were a kid and you know everything about them. Okay? That is a scary, scary thing. A lot of these kids are going to not want to be in the platform when they're older. They're going to want to get jobs. Maybe some of them are going to want to run for politics or whatever. They're going to be exposed for everything that they said and did online. A lot of them have their own social media platforms where their parents made it for them and they turn into teenagers and say things they probably shouldn't have said because they don't know. but they're famous and they're screwed. So the idea that a child actor can just kind of escape it all is easier than a kidfluencer, right? Because if I'm a guy hiring somebody, whatever the case, or someone's running for a politician, all I have to do is look at their history, because everything is online forever. And that's really scary. That's why kids both can't give informed consent, but kidfluencers specifically cannot give informed consent to the amount of data and information on the internet that could be there forever that they don't want out there. You think all these girls are out there, they're going to be really happy that their parents expose their first periods online? Right? That's a really, really, really scary thing. Would you if you're a female watching this and you're a teenager, would you want your mom or your dad to put that on the internet for everybody to see? There's just no shame. There's no privacy, and there should be. That's why I do what I do here. And if you want to know what Hollywood, the elites, actually think about kids and their privacy, just take a look at some of the most famous Hollywood elites. What do you know about their children? Depending on the actor, hardly anything. You should know nothing, because they understand the value of privacy. Whereas influencers will use their kids to gain fame, and it doesn't matter. We've got people like Fathering Autism using kids with autism and IDD, and a lot of kids out there with tons of issues, medical issues and everything else, using those issues to build their own platform in order to bring money in. We're child actors, and we're not talking about Kardashians, okay? That's different. Those are trash. They use their kids because they have no shame in anything. I'm talking about real elite level A-class actors. What do you know about their kids? Nothing. Because they are adamantly opposed generally to their kids being exposed to the world, because they know how dangerous it is. That's all you really need to know about that. If Hollywood elites alone know the danger of Hollywood and keep their kids away from it, what does that tell you? Whereas influencers don't care at all and will actually use their kids to bring in money. I'm sure I could go on about the differences, but I liked doing this type of video because it actually does show the difference, at the same time exposing a lot of the exploitation on this side, which is, again, unchecked in almost every single way. There are countries that have rules, like Germany and everything else, that have rules against this type of stuff. You can't do that. That is what I'm trying to fight for here in the Dat Challenge podcast. I want these rules to be put in place in our countries. I'm Canadian and in the US. Wouldn't it be amazing if the same type of rules were put in place? I'm not saying we're ever going to get rid of the child exploitation and all. That's never going to happen. Okay, it's never going to happen. But at some level, if the parents can't make money on it, if they're forced to change the way they do things, then it will take some kids off the internet, and that's a good thing. Right? Right now, again, it's the wild, wild west. They can do whatever they want. There's no rules, no regulations, nothing. And look at the way that they live their lives, influencers. Okay? They spend almost every penny. Look at the Ace family. Look how many cars they have and houses and everything else. They're probably so far in debt that when this is over, their kids will have nothing except for their parents' debt. Okay? Some parents might be putting money away for the kids, and I hope so. But it doesn't matter. Because even if you have money, what good is money when your entire life is on the internet for everybody to watch and predators to pursue? That whole predator thing should scare the crap out of any influencer who's using your kids. Anybody with a bigger platform, your kids are more of a target or more at risk because of your platform. It should scare you. And I said this, and I know a lot of you who haven't watched my videos, I say this all the time. Why are we waiting for somebody to be killed, kidnapped, or otherwise before we change the rules? Unfortunately, that's what has to happen in order for the rules to change. And I'm really scared for that. Because as much as I hate mommy vloggers and daddy vloggers, and I hate what they're doing to their kids, I would never, ever, ever in a million years want to see any of their kids get hurt. Or them. Right? All I really want to do is see kids get their privacy back. Respect your children. And if you're a teen coming into adulthood, or if you're somebody who doesn't have kids yet, please consider that when you do have kids, to keep them off the internet. Put it in your brain right now. My kids deserve their privacy. If you want to give your kids everything like a lot of us parents do, one of the things you can do is give them their privacy. I used to have tons of pictures of my kids online. They were birthed online, everything else. I had no issues with it until I started going down this dark wormhole. And then I realized how bad it was. Now it's very rare. I might throw a picture up here and there of my kids, but you're not going to know a lot about them. And you're not going to see them online because it is really dangerous, because my platform has grown. If you're just some rego, it's a little bit different. But if you have a big platform, you got to be really careful with it. And I would consider, even if you don't have a big platform, privatize all your social media accounts if you're putting your kids on there, right? Give your kids what they deserve. And you know they do, because we grew up in a different era, right? If your parents published every picture in those photo albums underneath your coffee table, would you be okay with that? Okay? We live in a different world. Now going forward, we need to realize that that our kids deserve autonomy and privacy more than ever before. So I hope that video helped. Hope it shed a little bit of light for what I do here and the difference between the two. Leave a comment below if I missed something. I'm sure I have. A lot of the people who watch me are really, really smart, and they get stuff I miss all the time, and I love it. So make sure you leave a comment, and I really appreciate you being here. And if you and your kid are watching it, thank you for watching it. And thank you for educating yourself and being smart about this. If your parents refuse to take your crap off the internet, you got to figure that out. That really sucks for you. So anyway, everybody take a deep breath. It's nice. Thank you for joining me again on the Dad Challenge podcast. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe or don't. I don't care. But don't forget that you are incredibly valuable and you deserve privacy. You deserve to be able to navigate where your life goes, even from a childhood. You should not be exploited for anything. That's the truth of it all. You are super incredibly valuable. Don't you ever forget it. And I'll see you tomorrow.